Hi everyone, this is my version 3 of Madden 23 franchise sliders. I'm gonna try to make this quick because I do not want to make another video talking about these things because they shouldn't even be touched from the beginning of the year. This game is buggy to no end. I do not know why. But anywho, uh, everything's the same except the reaction time and interceptions. It's up to 30, and then the reaction times and then the pass coverage for both sides is at 50. Interceptions is 30 for both sides as well. Um, long story short, if you have the defense reaction time low along with the interceptions, you are not going to intercept absolutely anything on the field. I promise you that. The CPU definitely will, but you are not going to. Uh, so just keep this at 50. Try your best to keep it at 50. If not, try to keep it above the interceptions, no matter what interception number you do. But also don't make this too high because you don't want to pick off everything because then you're not realistically playing, or not you're not having a realistic experience is what I'm trying to say. Um, Pass blocking for the CPU 45 is basically 50 for what the user has. So just don't even worry about this number. Just keep it at 45. I promise you, if you have this at 50, you're not going to get any sacks. So even if you're playing an 81 overall team, you're not getting any type of sacks. So just keep it at 45 and it'll work perfectly fine. Catching for the wide receiver is just like 40 for the user. It plays perfectly fine. Everything else is 50. Like I said, the reaction time is the same, interception is the same, pass coverage is the same. Um, Special teams I do not touch. Injuries 50. You can keep this at 25 or 12. 50 for me adds that element of injury prone players, like I've mentioned before, time and time again. And I like that because it's just like the NFL. It's realistic. There are injury prone players. A prime example would be, you know, Kadarius Toney, even though I guess he's perfectly fine now, but he was a perfect example when he was with the Giants. He just couldn't stay healthy. For the fatigue, this goes hand in hand with the auto subs. Just keep this at 85 and then change your auto subs according to this slider because if this is at 50, your backups are not going to get any type of playing time unless your auto subs are like high up, so just keep this at 85. It plays realistically anyway, so um, the threshold, do not up this to 55, which is the highest you should even go, but do not up this at 55 because this slider really only benefits the CPU. If it's at 45, it just makes the CPU faster to get to you to your players, even though your players do become faster. It's basically like you're not really moving the needle in terms of skill or speed at all because 45 is basically 50. It's just a faster version of 50. And then 55, uh, if you really want to see what I'm talking about, up this to 55 and then play anyone, play any CPU team, and then watch their linebackers, play crazy like coverage, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So just keep this at 50, because it'll only benefit you if you get good blocks or if you make the defense um, like run into each other like on the CPU. You'll definitely like get way like a lot of benefits than you would if you had this at 55 or 45. Uh, but the penalties, I don't touch them. They don't even work, and I also don't believe people who say that, oh, if pass interference is up, the DBs will play rougher. I don't believe that at all. So, um, because I haven't found it to work, so that's why I don't believe it. But the only one that seems to work is roughing the passer. Don't even up this. If anything, down it if you want. I have it at 50 because in the NFL there are roughing the passer calls that shouldn't even be called, and that's kind of what happens in this. And I like that because it's basically imitating the NFL, which is what I want to do with the sliders. But do not up this. Do not up this. It will only cause like 20 rough in the passer penalties in one game. The only one I have off is running into the kicker because the CPU tends to do that on extra points, and you don't want to have to keep replaying the stupid little like cutscene, I guess, of the ref calling the penalty. So just turn it off. And roughing the kicker, I have it off as well because it's basically the same thing. And then that should be it. I just want to provide some proof to the sliders. This game, don't even pay attention to this. This was I sent this because the game was bugged out. I couldn't hire an offensive coordinator, and so I had to fix it. Um, um, but anyway, as you can see, the game in the beginning was really close, and obviously, which is what I want the sliders to do. But then obviously halftime passes, and that's where you can, make that little cool feature of having your team adjust to what the CPU is doing. And basically, I shut down the Steelers the rest of the game. Um, and if anything, that's realistic because my team is a 91 overall, so across the board. So if anything, that's pretty realistic in my opinion. But and then also I want to show off the league history. Um, as you can see, I blew out the Jaguars, but the Jaguars were a wild card team that shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl to begin with. Their roster was pretty horrible. The Bills, this game was close, just like that Steelers game I just showed off. That's basically what ended up happening, except that the Bills kept it close in the third quarter, kind of, and then they just fell off a cliff in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't get anything going. This season, I lost to the Commanders in um, the divisional round of the playoffs because I threw three picks, but they didn't score on any of those three picks. Uh, it was basically just they were able to tie it. It went into overtime. I ended up losing, I think, to a field goal, I want to say, and that's basically what happened. And obviously, they lose to the Chiefs. Um, and then this Super Bowl, or let me show you the one before that one. So this Super Bowl was the Super Bowl that I had the speed threshold to 55. As you can see, that is why I do not recommend to have it at 55 because Daniel Jones fumbled the ball twice, I think, and somehow, I don't know how, but it was either the defensive end or their defensive tackle that picked the ball up and ran it into the end zone from like the 50-yard line. So just do not up it to 55. Please. You're gonna lose a game that you shouldn't have lost if you up it to 55. But then the following year, I won it against the Steelers. In this game, they kind of, I want to say that it was close throughout the entire game. I think the third quarter was when the game turned into like a shootout. Obviously because halftime had passed at that point. And then I low key was gonna lose this game. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was on the verge of losing it, but then I think I stopped them on a fourth down that they tried to run, and that's when, you know, my team basically gained momentum, which, in real life, that usually happens. And then it was just lights out, I guess you could say. Not really, though. The score's obviously close. Um, but essentially, what ended up happening was that in the fourth quarter, I think they kind of made a little bit of a comeback, and but they couldn't completely close it out. Uh, but as you can see, I've been in the Super Bowl in the past like what three, 4 seasons, so I kind of have a dynasty. Uh, Obviously, that's what you want to do anytime you play franchise. I don't think anyone really wants to lose and stuff. Uh, but as you can see, I have a 91 overall team, uh, and I think that the Siders play good. You know, and I do go like, 8-0, 10-0, and all those seasons I just showed you, I have done that. But in my opinion, I think that's fair. Because if you build a good team, I think that that should happen. It's just logical, it's common sense. So, but yeah, that's really it. I hope that this is the last, video in terms of the sliders, because I feel like at some point, like, what's the point of changing the sliders and just, keep changing them and all that. Um, but really quick, I do want to say thank you for the support on the two videos for this game. I did not think that was gonna happen. Like the I guess uh, the views and everything. They over not overachieved, but they really did um, blow my mind away in terms of the the recognition that they got. Um, but yeah, that's really much it. I just want to say thank you on that, and I really do appreciate it. But my main thing with the videos is to put my sliders out there because I don't really think that these other you know people that put sliders out there really do a good job of it. Um, and I will say that for those people who are still iffy on my sliders, uh, look up what's his name? It's Matt 10's Madden 23 franchise sliders, and you'll see that his sliders are very similar to mine. In terms of the 50-50, like like across the board for both sides of the ball, CPU and user. So, that's just, I guess, a little bit more proof in terms of, that my sliders do work. Uh, but yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys, watching, and I hope that you guys appreciate the sliders and appreciate that they bring a realistic feel in terms of recreating that, you know, that NFL experience that we all get to see every Sunday, and then every Monday and Thursday. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching and hope to see you soon again.